So let's do firewalls and information security. And what is a firewall? Basically, it is a security system that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic based on a predefined security rules. It acts as a barrier between a trusted internal network and an untrusted external network, which is internet, to prevent unauthorized access, right? So it is basically a system which regulates the security over the network, right? It sees the incoming traffic and also sees the outgoing traffic and kind of, combine them both and uh, identify the security or the barrier, which is, to kind of identify the threats we may have. Key functions of a firewall is to traffic filtering, allows or blocks network packets based on security rules. Right? If some packets are not secure, it also tells us. Intrusion prevention, that's why whenever we browse or download something from a untrusted website, it tells us that there may be some complications there. Intrusion prevention detects and stops suspicious activity, like when we when we try to access some website that is not secure, and then it also gives us this advanced option that if we want to go, we can go at our own risk. Access control is restrict users and applications from reaching unauthorized resources. Logging and monitoring keep records of network activity for security analysis. Right? Types of firewalls and their protection mechanisms. Right? Okay. So packet filtering firewalls, we have packet filtering firewalls and how they work examines packet headers, right? So we talked about that, we didn't talk about, but the system, but the real thing is that data travel in packets, right, in distinct packets across the internet, and firewalls, they do what? They kind of examine the packet headers where we have written like the source or destination IPs. We have ports, protocols, and allows organized traffic based on rules, right? We may have enveloped like this. We have like the HTTP version, whatever the one version, and then we have some status code here, which is 200 OK, because the data is being fetched up, and then the data here. So this is basically the envelope, the networking, or the protocol envelope, or the request envelope is better word to say for it, which we use to kind of send data. And the packet filtering firewalls basically checks the header of the package, which contains source and destination IPs, ports, and protocols. For example, rules block all incoming traffic from 192.168 on port 80 HTTP. So from any traffic which is coming from this IP on port 80 should be blocked, and port 43 is used for basically HTTPS. This is the port for HTTP secure browsing. Strength is as fast and efficient for basic filtering. Weaknesses cannot inspect packet contents payload, right? So it cannot inspect all the contents of the packet. It can only kind of see some data from the packet. For example, a company blocks all SSH port 20 traffic from external networks to prevent unauthorized remote access. So SSH was, we talked about SSL, where this was the the secure socket layer, which works with TLS to ensure the security over the network. And then we have SSH, which basically stands for the secure. SSH stands for the secure shell. Okay, and it is a network protocol that enables the secure communication between devices over an unsecure network. It is uses encryption and authentication to protect data and access to systems, right? So it is a secure shell, and how it works is basically when there's a insecure networks, it kind of develop a secure relationship between them. So so a company blocks all SSH traffic, means any traffic which is coming from some insecure network, but at port 22, and it is blocking that traffic to come to its own network, right? So it blocks all the SSH port 22 traffic from external networks to prevent unauthorized remote access, right? Uh, okay. And why it blocks SSH? Because SSH basically is vulnerable to attacks such as brute force attacks, stolen keys, and session hijacking, and that's why there are much better um, you know options these days than to just use SSH. It can be used and configured with the other technologies. Then we have protection strategies, and we are going to write some protection strategies. Configure denial, allow exception rules, default deny approach, right? That should have be denying to all, but you should have some for some people. You should have some permission rules that you should be enabling, right? Then we have regularly update access control list to prevent unauthorized access for the firewall in the packet filtering firewall, so that all people cannot access things, but some can, and you should have regularly update access list control in the firewall's rules. Stateful inspection firewalls or dynamic packet filtering tracks the state of active connections and ensures only legitimate packets are allowed, right? So it kind of ensures that we have some active connections from the packets and ensures only some packets. If a user initiates a request to a website, the firewall allows the response but blocks are unexpected inbound packets, right? Uh, Strength smarter than packet filtering, preventing many spoofing attacks, consumes more processing power. So it kind of looks through the packet and it kind of generate the idea that you should have kind of, that's what's stateful, because it kind of tells you that the data can be given to the user or not given to the user, and the firewall allows the response but blocks unexpected inbound packets, right? So any packets that you think that was not expected or not according to the response or are not secure are just blocked. That's why it's called stateful, because it can just go into the blocks and read the whole envelope, and then it can kind of guess which one to really send. Online banking security. Stateful firewalls allow responses only for user-initiated transactions to prevent unauthorized access, right? So if some user is a valid user, then it will only kind of prevent the, kind of accept their, accept the request of transaction. Protection studies use stateful filtering to prevent S5 flood and session hijacking attacks. Monitor connection states to detect unusual traffic patterns. So connection states are really useful because if two persons are really communicating over the internet, they can kind of keep track of the states in which they are talking, so that they can any unusual pattern or the person in the middle or the man in the middle. We talked about that man in MITM. Can occur, so we can kind of detect the unusual traffic patterns. Then we have proxy firewalls or application layer firewalls, act as an intermediary between users and services, analyzing and filtering traffic at the application level. HTTP, SMTP, which is used for single mail transfer protocol. For mails, FTP, a web proxy inspects URLs and website content before allowing access. Deep packet inspection, DPI can detect malware and phishing attempts, right? It can, the proxy firewalls in which we have deep packet inspection, it can detect the malware. Weaknesses, low performance due to intensive inspection, because it uses more processing power, it has less performance, right? It is just a little more. Proxy firewalls and stateful firewalls do the same. They basically do the deep packet inspection, but it does at the application level, and it does in the network level, or in more like network level. Corporate web filtering. A company uses a proxy firewall to block access to malicious websites and prevent data leaks. Enforce content filtering policies to block harmful sites. Use SSL decryption to inspect encrypted traffic for threats. Right, for if we have any thread and we are getting any traffic, so we can kind of encrypt it and kind of see how it is going to kind of be a threat to our own company. Next generation firewalls. It combines traditional firewall functions with advanced threat detection, intrusion preventions like IPS, or we talked about the IDS and IPS. I don't know where we talked about them, I don't know, but intrusion preventions and AI-based anomaly detection. An anti-FW indicates ransomware patterns in real time and blocks the attack. Defense against modern cyber threats like malware, botnets, and zero-day attacks. Zero-day was when they attack the unpatched vulnerabilities. Weaknesses expensive and requires more processing power, right? Cloudflare and Fortinet and GFWs protect global networks from DDoS attacks and sophisticated cyber threats. Cloudflare and Fortinet use them. Implement AI-driven analysis to detect anomalies, enable deep packet inspection to prevent zero-day exploits. Right? Firewall deployment strategies, like how to kind of deploy firewall. We can have network-based firewalls deployed at the edge of a network to protect internal systems from external threats. A university firewall restricts students from accessing illegal file sharing sites. Right? Host-based firewalls installed on individual devices like laptops, servers, PCs to control traffic per device. Window Defender firewall, you have a notification here where they ask you to give access to any other app if you are downloading it. It is used to block unauthorized application. Cloud firewalls, Firewall as a Service or FWaaS. So where we have SaaS, we have Software as a Service. Now we have a FWaaS, we have a Firewall as a Service hosted in the cloud to promote remote workers and distributed networks. AWS Web Application Firewall secures cloud-hosted applications. Now we have more like AI-driven firewalls. We have zero trust network access, and we have firewall automation. Self-updating firewalls reduce manual configuration errors. We have internet untrusted. We have a firewall, traffic filtering, internal network trusted. Right. So this was basically firewall. We talked about what are the types of firewall. They are the firewalls, which are kind of those. The packet ones, the packet filtering firewalls. Then we have the stateful inspection firewalls, which are also packet filtering but at network level, or dynamic packet filtering. The first one was static packet filtering. Then we have dynamic packet filtering. Then we have proxy firewalls, which also kind of deep inspect the packets at the application level. And then we had the next generation firewalls. Then we talked about where we can deploy the firewalls. They could be network-based, host-based, or cloud-based. And this is a simple model of firewalls. In the next one, we will talk about intrusion detection systems and some types of